Greetings from the green room, I'm Ellie Birdie, and 7 versions? Are you serious? Unfortunately for my sanity, yes. Let me walk you down this path of misery, despair, sacrifice. It was actually a lot of fun. But why did it take 3.5 years? Version 1. In summer 2021, I thought to myself, hey, I can write, I can draw, let's make a comic. I had not even read a comic in 10 years at that point. This version lasted 20 pages before I acknowledged my defeat because I had absolutely zero idea what I'm doing. Version 2. Start of 2022, my art skills had a huge glow up. So I thought to myself, hey, I got this. This version lasted 14 pages. I changed some of the plot points and repainted the original pages, but my art skills improved enough to tell me what mistakes I was making. The easiest solution to all of these is 3D. So I decided to learn that and start all over again. Version 3. We do not talk about version 3. Version 4. Started in May 2022. This version was entirely rendered in 3D, then run through a painterly filter, which I then painted on top of. It started out great. Jumping between 3D and painting gave me the freedom to do whatever I wanted. However, as I progressed, I started noticing more and more issues pop up. About 25 pages in, I knew this isn't what I was exactly going for. However, instead of quitting, I decided to go through the entire comic just at a much lower quality, just so I could see the entire comic in some form. So this version technically does have 131 pages, but most of those pages are not good. Version 5. April 2023, this was going to be the one. I could feel it. I knew enough about comic books, I learned the best way to mix 3D and painting, and I rewrote the story again so that it'd be the best it could possibly be. I was ready. Sketched out, this version is complete at 144 pages. Rendered out, it's about 35. To be honest, to this day, I still believe I could have finished that version. Considering how complex the art style is, I did have a good workflow. However, while working on it, I carried this heaviness, this despair, that no matter how much effort and time I'd put into this project, it still wouldn't come out right. Version 6. That realization led me to discover my art style. Yay! I needed a break from the comic, so I started working on a novel and on YouTube instead. In June 2024, I looked back and thought, hey, this isn't actually that bad. Using those old sketches, I started working on the book again, using my new style. The thing was, at that point, I had reworked this story so many times that I no longer had any control over it. It had become Frankenstein's monster. I realized that this story has so much baggage that even if I finish it, I won't like it. So this version ended at 70 pages. Version 7. I've always wanted to be a writer, so I discarded the distractions and I pursued my passion of prose. I wrote a book, and I had 2 realizations. 1, I love writing, but I don't want writing to be my job. And 2, that last version of the comic was a lot better than I initially gave it credit for. And I remembered how, when I was little, I loved not only writing, but also drawing, and I loved reading comic books. When I was 13, I tried making a comic book, and by my standards, I failed so miserably that I gave up art for 10 years. But looking back, it's what I'd expect from any 13-year-old's attempt at making a comic book. You may be noticing a pattern here of me being unsatisfied with my own work. That has been my reality for almost my entire life. I'd have an idea in my head. I'd translate that idea from a mind to paper through whatever medium. And I'd look at it and think, this isn't right. I didn't do a good job. And people may have still liked it, because they couldn't see that the translation was a failure. They only saw what I showed them. But I could see the failure. I wasn't even sure what I was after. It was just a feeling. A feeling I've been chasing through books or art or comic books, basically my entire life. Even though none of these versions of the comic were a success, each one told me more about who I am as a creative person. One by one, puzzle pieces clicked into place. And last year, I solved the puzzle. That book turned out exactly how I wanted it to. I'm incredibly proud of it. And knowing that all of this wasn't a waste of time took a lot of weight off my shoulders. Enough so that I could make the comic work. And now that it's ready for the public, I can move on to the next step, which is building an audience. After all that, this should be easy, right? Oh. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video, and no, this totally isn't my first time posting in 8 months. What are you talking about? Shut up. Have a lovely day.